everyone, welcome to Rancho Los Cerritos' creation station for April. Our theme this month is April showers, and our craft has to do with rain. So we will be making umbrella mobiles. So the umbrella is the centerpiece and it has these raindrops hanging from it. And you just need a few materials to make this craft. The main one is paper. So we have all kinds of colored paper here for the umbrella and the raindrops themselves. Scissors to cut your paper, a glue stick to put it together. I have a pencil here, and it's nice to have that if you like to draw your shapes out before you cut them. And then I have some thread here to put all these pieces together. You can use any kind of string, thread, even yarn, or ribbon, and I have ribbon here as well. And then the last piece is beads, which are optional, so you don't need these. But if you're looking at this example I have, the beads are hanging underneath the raindrops. So they do add a little bit of decoration, but they also add a little security, so it's kind of a block so these raindrops won't slide off the string. But your mobile will stay together even if you don't have beads. So if you don't have any on hand, no worries. You could even add buttons or other things like that if you have those around. And that's it. So let's get started with this craft. So this is a mobile. So a mobile kind of has these pieces that hang down, and it's an umbrella and some raindrops for April showers. Rainy days sometimes are not the most fun, but rain really helps plants grow, especially all of the wonderful plants that grow at Rancho Los Cerritos in our gardens. So we do like to have some rain. So we're gonna create this, and this is mostly paper and glue with just the string to kind of hold it together, and these optional beads down at the bottom. And what this is, to make it three-dimensional, you have the same shape 4 times and then folded in half and glued together. And it's the same thing with these raindrops as it is with the umbrella. So it's just a different shape for the two of those, but the same idea. So the first thing we can do is create the umbrella. And so you can decide what colors you would like to use. You could make the umbrella all one color, and you definitely could decorate the construction paper before you put this all together as well if you wanted to have decorations with markers or crayons or even stickers and ribbons and things like that. I'm just going to show you with the construction paper, but really it's up to you how you would like to decorate it. And I'm going to use 4 different colors of paper to create my umbrella. And I'm not using blue in my umbrella because I'm going to use blue for the raindrops, and I want those to kind of pop. So I'll put these off to the side. I'm going to start just with this orange paper. You can start with whatever color you would like. And I'm going to fold it in half. What is the hamburger fold? Not to make the skinnier shape, but this fatter rectangle. And because this is folded, whatever shape I draw on here, if I'm going to draw my umbrella shape and then cut it. And so then when I unfold it, it will have a symmetrical shape. So it'll be the same on each side. So I'm going to fold it, and you can kind of see with this, an umbrella is just basically like a half circle on the top. And so when I'm just working with a half, then it's really just a quarter circle. And then on the bottom, I just made smaller little half circles to be kind of the little bottom edges of an umbrella. And it's up to you how big you would like your umbrella to be. I used pretty much all the space I had. So starting from about halfway up the paper, and just making that kind of half, or I guess quarter circle shape. So we have that. started from about halfway up here and then just went down to this corner. And now I'm going to make these little half circles. And I'm going to do 3. So I might just make little marks that are about like a third and a third, and then just make a little half circle between those marks. And that's what I did. So it might not be perfect and completely symmetrical, but I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to cut this out. I'm not going to cut along the fold because I need that to be able to open it up. I'm going to cut along all of these pencil marks that I made to cut out my umbrella shape. I cut that out, and now when I unfold it, now I have this kind of umbrella shape. And if you're not quite happy with it, you can kind of tweak this. Once you have your first quarter of your umbrella ready, then you can trace it onto your other pieces. So now I've got these umbrella pieces ready, and I'm now going to do that kind of same idea to create the raindrops. So it's the same idea where there's going to be 4 of the same shape, but it is a different shape now. So it's that teardrop shape. And then for this one, I did 4 raindrops. So 1 raindrop hanging off of each of these kind of pieces of the umbrella. And for each raindrop, I needed 4 pieces. So 4 pieces each times 4 raindrops. 4 times 4 is 16. So I needed 16 of those raindrop shapes. I did these all light blue. I've got dark blue. I'll do all of the ones now dark blue. You can kind of mix and match. You could make your raindrops a different color. It's totally up to you. And you can do them all one size. These, they are 2 different sizes, but not a crazy difference. So maybe not that noticeable. But what the shape that we're going to do now is this half of a teardrop. So I'll do the same thing, but for this one, because it's not as big of a shape, I don't need this to be folded in half. I can fold this in even just a quarter. And so along this fold, I want one side to be a point and then to end in a curve. So that creates that teardrop shape when it opens. And so if you kind of think about how big you want it to be, I'm just gonna start right from this corner with my point. So if I make a little line here with how big I would like that raindrop to be, I'm just gonna make this part kind of come out almost like a circle, but then go back and connect back with this point here, and that will make that teardrop shape. Then when this opens up, it creates this teardrop, or raindrop, I guess, water droplet shape. And again, I need 16 of those to make 4 raindrops. Here we have 16 raindrops. And one thing I forgot to say was, if you want your raindrops to be different sizes, that's totally fine. You just want each set of 4 to be the same exact shape, as close as you can. If you have mix and match, then they're not gonna fit together as well. I just did mine all the same, so I don't have to worry about that. But if you are doing different sizes, just make sure you keep those sets of 4 together and that those 4 drops match. So the next step is, now these were already folded from cutting. My drops are not folded, but they need to be. So now I need to fold each of these in half, as close to exactly in half as possible, but again, there's gonna be some variation and that's okay. Just doing as close as we can do. So I'm gonna do that for all 16 of the drops. Now, the next step is to start gluing the drops together. So you're just going to kind of line them up, and with your first piece, put glue from the glue stick on just one side, and then use that to attach the second piece, trying to line them up as much as possible. And then you're going to add glue to this next piece and add another one. And you're going to keep doing that until you have 4 that are all connected, but we're not going to close the loop just yet. So you're going to have 3, 4. So you'll have 4 that are all glued together, kind of like in a row, and they could close up to make this kind of T shape. So if I have this one, I'm gonna put this underneath so I don't get glue on the table. So I'm gonna put the glue on that and then try to line this second piece up. And then I'm gonna do the same thing. So this piece I just glued on, I'm gonna fold down so that only half of that teardrop is showing. Put glue on that half, and then glue this third drop. And then again, fold that back down, glue on half the teardrop, and add the 4th and final piece for this raindrop. So you can see it better over here. These are all glued together. The final step will be gluing these, and then that will make that kind of T shape, but we're not quite ready for that. So now I'm gonna do this same thing with the rest of the raindrops. So gluing the 4 together, but not completing the circle with any of those. Now I have my 4 raindrops. And before I add that final glue and close up that circle, I want to add the string that the raindrops will hang from. And you can see in this one, you can make them different lengths. You could make them all the same length. It's up to you. And the beads that are on the bottom that I have beneath these raindrops, they work as a decoration, but they're also there just so that the raindrop won't slide off the string. So if you do have beads, they can be kind of helpful. But if not, you can just tie a knot at the end of the string or yarn or whatever you're using, and that will work okay. Just make sure that you really squeeze that glue in and they shouldn't fall off. So I'm going to show you how to do it with the beads. So I've got 4 beads here and my 4 raindrops. And depending on the beads you use, you might want to use a needle. Mine all have pretty small holes in the beads, so I am going to use a needle to help me thread this thread through each of the beads. So I'm just gonna put the thread using my needle through, and then I don't need the needle anymore for this one. So I just want to make a knot, so I'm going to move the bead almost to the end of this string, and then I'm going to tie a knot around the bead. And I always like to triple, even quadruple knot, just to be extra safe. so I really know that bead is not going anywhere. So I've got the bead, I've got this kind of extra string. I'm going to trim that down so it's not kind of hanging off. And then I'm going to cut this, I have it, what is this, like a foot and a half of string, and then put that to the side. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the next 3 beads. Now I have my 4 strings with my beads, or if you just have a knot at one end, that'll work too. And then my 4 raindrops. So what I'm going to do now is I've got the 2 ends of this raindrop that need to be glued together. And before I glue those, I'm just going to slip the string in so that the raindrop will just be sitting right on top of the bead. So again, I'm going to get this paper underneath just so I don't get glue on the table. I just put glue on both sides on that full teardrop shape, and then lay this down and close it up. And so then it will hang on there like this. Really squeeze that down, and then this will open up so you get that three-dimensional raindrop. And I'll do that with the other 3. So add glue to the 2 final sides, lay the string in between, close those, pinch them so they get really stuck together, and then we'll be ready for the next step. Now I've got all 4 of my raindrops ready to go. And so now it's finally time to start assembling the mobile, so all of those pieces together. And if you want this handle for your umbrella, you can cut that out. I used this brown. You could just do a straight one, or I did kind of like that candy cane shape, so it's got that little hook. And you can just kind of trace out the shape you want with pencil and then cut it out. And that's the final piece before we assemble. All right, so all of my pieces are the 4 parts of the umbrella top, 4 assembled raindrops on a string, the umbrella handle, and then glue stick. So what we're going to do now is start putting these umbrella pieces together similar to the raindrops. So these are all just going to be glued together to make this kind of 3-dimensional shape. The only added step is that we need to add these raindrops before we glue these together. So they are going to be, the string is going to be inside here, and that's going to hold it together. You could also, if you have a hole punch and you prefer, you could just glue these together and then add a hole punch and then just tie your raindrops. That's another way to do it as well. But I'm going to do the glue the string in way to show you. So I'm going to start with my first 2 of the colors, and I think this is actually, because red and orange are the most similar, I want them to not be right next to each other, so I just moved these around. So I'm going to start with these 2. So if I fold this red one down, I need the glue on here, and then I'll be gluing this green one onto it. So I'll add my glue here. But before I put the green on top, I'm going to get one of my raindrops and put it so that the string is going right through and then hanging down. And so you can decide how long you want it to be or how short. I'm just putting it kind of mid-length, and it's okay to have this string poking out over the top. That's gonna help it actually stay in place. So I've got that where I want it, and now it's time to add the green one on top. And again, I'm lining these up as closely as I can, but it's okay if it's not totally perfect. So there I have my first raindrop hanging, and I'm going to keep doing that. So now I'm going to fold the green one closed, add the glue onto this. And then I'm going to get another raindrop. And so for this one, I'm gonna have this one hang a little bit longer. So I'm gonna put the string there. And I've been putting mine sort of in the middle of this shape, but you could hang them more towards the outside or more towards the inside. If you are using beads and they're heavy, if you have them on the outside, they might kind of weigh it down. So mine, they are kind of solid, so I'm just kind of doing mine right in the middle, but you can see how it looks other ways. So I've got that string through, my raindrops ready, so now I'm going to add the next umbrella piece. Squeeze it down. Now for the next glue. Do a little bit shorter with this one. And then my final piece. Now, before I do this last piece, so it is technically the same step. I'm adding glue and then connecting, but there's no more umbrella piece. So I have to connect this to my very first red one to complete the circle. And before I do that, I do want to add the handle. And then there's a couple ways that you can add a hanger or a way for this to hang. So I'm gonna have this ready. I'm gonna open it up. So my first red piece is right here, and then I've got my yellow one so that they're ready to close up like this. So I'll put this glue here, but then before I put in my raindrop, I'm just gonna add the handle as close to the center as it can go, but it'll be, because it's only, I'm gluing it onto one of these, it'll be slightly off center, but it's close enough. And then my final raindrop, I do like this, and that'll be ready to go. So I did all my raindrops kind of slightly different levels. You could have them all be the same. Again, you could have them be up close to the umbrella, hanging really far down, totally up to you. So I've got my last raindrop, I've got the handle for the umbrella. So there are some options for the way that it will hang. So for this one, I just used my needle and I threaded some string through, but it turned out to not actually, I needed to knot it more, I think. So that's one way. If you want to use ribbon, you could either do the same thing but hole punch first and then do a ribbon, or you can make a long loop with a ribbon and then glue it on the inside like this. And I can show you what that looks like. I'm gonna get some ribbon. So I got some ribbon, and if you have ribbon, this actually is blue, so it kind of works. What I'm going to do is cut a piece that's long enough to loop, and maybe not quite that long. I'm gonna knot it and then have the loop. So the same idea, this knot is going to be at one end of the umbrella, and then the loop will be at the top, and so the knot will help kind of hold it in place. So I don't need too long of a loop. This will be good. So I've cut that, and then I'm just going to knot this other end. And then I'm going to stick this in the middle as well before I close up this loop. So now I've got the final raindrop, the string, I've got the handle for the umbrella and my loop here. And I'm going to now close that final piece. And then trim off kind of those extra pieces. So when I lift this up, it will hang. And this knot that I made is just keeping it from the umbrella from sliding off with the weight. So now I can open this up and kind of get these so that they're making that sort of a T shape. So now the final step is just trimming off these strings that are sticking out the top. And if you want to kind of knot those before you trim them, you are welcome to do that, just as, again, that kind of added security. Just gonna trim them. And there we go, here is my umbrella mobile. And you can kind of fold it to make sure that it's staying the way you like, and then find a place where you can hang it. And so here where I live in Long Beach in Southern California, it maybe doesn't rain that much, so this can bring a little rain to April where we might not have actual rain, or on a rainy day it can bring some kind of color to that rainy day. I hope you've enjoyed making your rainbow mobiles and that they'll bring a little joy and pop of color to your day, even when we are getting some April showers. And if you would like to post your craft on social media, I hope you will tag the Rancho. I would love to see the things that you create, and I'll add the handles below. And you can use the hashtag RLC Creation Station to make them easier to search for. I hope that you will join me also next month for our next creation station on the first Saturday in May. And the theme for that one will be May flowers, because April showers bring May flowers. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you next month. Bye.